looks like we've got over 20 participants. We'll get started with our information session. This evening we have Chris Dyer with us, and I would call him a community builder. He's a person who looks at data as a way of building engagement from the community and constituent relations, which is a great thing. He was appointed by Mayor Fenty as the Director of Office of LGBT Affairs and was program officer for the highly successful, I think, camera program that was rolled out across the city, and now with DPR. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much for that welcome. This is exciting. I don't normally get such a robust and welcoming welcome. And I'm normally the special guest of the ANC, so I'm especially excited. I'm also glad I was on time. So I'm going to share my screen because we have a very fantastic, or I would say we have a PowerPoint presentation for the folks at home. Again, I'm Christopher Dyer. And now, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. So my name is Christopher Dyer, and I was recently hired by the Department of Parks and Rec to be the Community Engagement Manager. I have a special assignment to be the lead to the ANCs. So I'm your point of contact now for all things Department of Parks and Rec, and I'm happy to do a very brief presentation and then answer any questions you may have. So, and you guys can still see me. I'm having a screen freeze on my end, but please just let me know I'm being heard. Okay, sorry about that. For those of you who don't know, the Department of Parks and Rec is the #1 park system in the country. We host programming and events year-round in over 243 sites across 725 acres of green space in all 8 wards. We also annually have about 100 different capital improvement projects in our construction pipeline to support the park system, and we are reasonably busy as an agency. Right now, we are talking about, we're an agency that operates year-round. We are currently accepting registration for our fall programs, although in about a month, we're going to be starting registration for our winter programs. Please visit dprprograms.com for additional information and how to register for a program. We offer a variety of in-person programs in aquatics, cultural arts, fitness, out-of-school time youth programs, sports and youth development. We require everyone to wear a mask while they're in the parks or while they're in the indoor facility. And obviously, if you've tested positive for COVID or you're not feeling well, please stay home because we'd rather you not, we'd rather you stay home and be well. If you're still uncomfortable coming to an in-person program, we do offer a variety of virtual programs, the following categories. Fitness, we have abs and glutes, boot camp and core. I tried a yoga class, or actually I tried a boot camp and core class online at the comfort of my home. It wasn't pretty, and I'm glad that the video is not available for YouTube, but these programs do work. We also, for seniors, have programs on mindful meditation, jewelry making, and we have a very popular senior book club. Wanted to also provide some aquatics updates. As you may or may not know, all outdoor pools are closed for the season, although some people wanted us to stay open a little bit later. And also, I'm sorry, this is an older slide. Spray parks are actually obviously closed as well. We have indoor pool hours now in Monday to Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. and 10 to 5 p.m. And please note that the Tacoma pool and the Turkey Thicket pool are still closed for renovation, but we're hoping to bring them online pretty quickly. And we also have DCPS hours at Bellew, Dunbar, and HT Woodson. If you are looking to do a special event, and commissioners, if you're interested in doing a special event for your commission, please consider, one of our 243 different sites across the city. We have a variety of facilities, parks, fields, and pools. One of the highlights so far of my job was having a very enthusiastic parent approach me at a National Night Out event and tell me that he had a party for his 5-year-old, and then his 5-year-old son told me that it was his best day ever. So that was very rewarding and kind of unusual bit of praise that we hear in public. So, and the 5-year-old was adorable. So if you want to make, have a really good day, consider using the Department of Parks and Rec. visit dpr.dc.gov/permits or dial 202-673-7647. Also, I wanted to let you all know, next Friday, all indoor facilities will be closed so that we can have our annual staff meeting. It's the first time we've gathered in person since the pandemic, and apparently the all-staff meeting is quite the hoot, as I've been told. So the outdoor facilities will be open, but indoors we will be closed. Ready to play. Now this is going to be fun, and this is something that an ANC might want to get more engaged in. We had issued a Ready to Play update in the summer, where it is, the Ready to Play is our 20-year, we're developing a 20-year master strategic plan for the agency, especially around capital improvement projects. So we issued an update over the summer that included a draft set of 4 goals with 13 strategies and 85 specific actions. There was a draft equity framework, and we also published the results of a Ready to Play citywide survey. Please visit readytoplaydc.com. That's readytoplaydc.com to provide feedback on these items. The feedback is crucial because it'll help finalize the draft capital blueprint, which is be released in the coming weeks. And once that capital blueprint is released, we'll be emailing it to all the ANC commissioners. And if you would like someone from the Ready to Play team to come and address a committee, or you'd like me to come back and talk about the program, the capital blueprint, we'd be happy to attend. It's going to be a very important time to get as much input as we can, because this blueprint will sort of dictate where we start building and developing facilities in all 8 wards across the city for the next 20 years. We also wanted to take this opportunity to provide some updates and sort of help you get your help in making the park experience a little bit more comfortable. So wanted to go over some of the rules. Pets in the park, we love pets. We're big fans of their fur friends, but please note that off-leash dogs are only permitted in DPR designated dog facilities, and dogs are not permitted off-leash in public spaces. Leash dogs must be held by a person capable of managing the dog. Dogs are not permitted on natural turf or synthetic turf fields, athletic courts, pools, and pool areas, except for registered service dogs. And also, please pick up after your dog. We're trying to have poop-free parks. Not only is it a good idea, but you could also be fined of up to $2,000. And that's not the kind of experience we'd like our guests to have while visiting a DPR facility. Also, we want to make sure that all patrons are able to use the parks in a safe manner. Please keep these guidelines in mind as you use them. Bonfires or open flames are prohibited. So, as much as I enjoy a good marshmallow roast, please don't do it in our parks, unless you can try to do it over one of our grills, which would be kind of interesting. No parking or driving on the grass, athletic fields, recreation courts, play areas, service roads, and pathways. Again, you might get a citation or another penalty. And again, we do really not want you to get a fine for attending our parks. Please don't consume alcohol, gambling, possess illegal substances, or explosive firecrackers or firearms on our property. Smoking is prohibited. And it's also a violation to engage in disorderly conduct and behavior on our property. If you are actually a holder of a permit and your guests you're liable for the conduct of your guests. And finally, no camping or overnight use of any DPR facility or park is allowed. So these are pretty obvious and straightforward rules. And we need your guys' help in making sure that we provide a safe and positive experience for everyone who attends our parks. Thank you. So if you have any additional questions on DPR activities or need assistance with a specific issue, please contact me at Christopher Dyer. My number is 202-702-9453. That's 202-702-9453. And my email is christopher.dyer@dc.gov. Feel free to call or text. I actually got a call from an ANC commissioner at 7 in a couple of days ago, which was kind of interesting. I didn't answer the phone, but I am available, and we do try to respond within 20. I love it that we're supposed to DC government say we respond within 24 hours or the next business day. I try to respond right away. So please, I was a former commissioner. I respect the work that you guys do as commissioners and understand the time that you put in. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about Parks and Rec. And with that, I'm going to answer any questions you might have.
Chris,
And
I'm
thank
going
you for your
to
time.
I'm going to start with a few questions.
Okay.
Can you elaborate? Many people don't understand that because we're the national capital area, we have a large amount of federal park land. And how do you know if it's DC Park versus federal park? And a lot of the federal parks look because they're like little quarter lots in communities.
So look at the trash can, as I was told. Our trash cans are short and squat, and they usually have our names on it. And the federals usually have a sort of an elevated step, and then they're a step up. Also, most traffic circles, parks and traffic circles are federal. All of our parks, except for the triangle parks, are labeled with we put our signage up on everything. And if you have a specific question about who has jurisdiction, please email me, because there are actually some little tiny pocket parks that are administered by DDOT, but I am quite capable of figuring out if it's on our land or not. But that's a very good question.
Chris, I'm glad you brought up the pocket park. We actually have 2 pocket parks in our ANC, and they were created by Lady Bird Johnson of all people, and are dedicated to her. They're ones that no one claims ownership of. So we may be coming to you because sometimes we get lost assets in the city, and where no one owns them, but someone has to own them.
Yeah, well, please send it to me. I can also try to look it up on the ArcGIS system. I have a comprehensive list, a somewhat comprehensive list of all the parks in our inventory. And if I can't figure it out, our capital improvement people can figure it out, and please ask.
Okay, now my last question, then we'll go to Sable. Each winter, we are very strong supporters of opening the rec centers for overnight shelters for homelessness. We hope that will continue this year, particularly at Banneker. It's been a success story. Last year it was, I think we did, or year before, I forget which. We actually did all day because, of course, the pandemic, things were closed. We'd like to see some level of use for those facilities. Is there plans for that?
I am not personally aware of any of our plans yet for providing shelter over the winter. We are still in that transition between summer and fall. If you email me this question afterwards, I'll follow up and find out for you, and I'll provide information. But I don't know what we're planning at this time.
Apparently, we're unique in supporting this, that most ANCs are very much against using the rec centers for overnight facilities for homelessness.
That is true.
Go ahead.
That is a true, I think that's the first time I've had this question so far and shown that level of support. So I appreciate that.
Commissioner Hanrahan is very familiar with that one. Commissioner Harris.
So you brought up the Ready to Play survey. I'm wondering, and I went to one of the meetings specifically for Ward 1, and they shared what the, I guess, how many people had filled it out for Ward 1. Do you have that information?
It's currently, all the information on the results of that survey are sitting at readytoplaydc.com. I don't have the information in front of me. I suppose I could look up. We also did a weighted, we did do a weighted survey to make sure that there was to sort of account for representation across the city. So there were some underrepresented areas that got more weight. I don't know the scientific formula about it, but all the results are at readytoplaydc.com.
Okay. And then I'm wondering if you know from the survey, or even just from kind of what's ahead, are there any parks up for beautification or redevelopment in Ward 1 or in 1B specifically?
I don't know about 1B. I know that we are doing some work in we are working on some of the parks in Ward 1 this year. Some of the triangle parks are getting renovated. And I think that there is a 6-year plan. I don't know. If you want to get more specific information, please email me and I'll follow up with you after the meeting. but I don't know if there's anything in 1B.
Okay.
I think,
And then,
sorry, Commissioner Harris. Just really quickly, the 14th and Girard Street Park would be one park that we're particularly curious about, but I think an assembled list would be
yeah,
nice, and then we could follow up with that.
I'm actually more curious about Harrison Park, but we can absolutely follow up with the list.
Yeah.
Give me half a second. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, please. I'm going to try to answer the question. I'm going to see what I have. I can see what I have in a spreadsheet right now, but I don't know if that's the actual answer. So please, I'll answer any other questions. And if I find that information, I'll let you know.
Okay. And I just have one other question. Is DPR holding any job fairs for, role openings for the community?
I don't think we have any job openings currently planned. I know that we do hiring for lifeguards and we do a lot of hiring for summer staff. But if we do, we will definitely, we'll definitely let you know. I'm sure some of you have gotten an email from me, at least one in the last couple of months. And we also will post stuff to our Nextdoor if you're on Nextdoor. We're also very robust with our social media. And if there's a job fair, specifically in an ANC or there's a special event, we might even do some door-to-door work. So,
yeah, please keep us posted about that, especially since we can spread the word in 1B. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Thomas.
Unmute Commissioner Thomas.
Yeah, a quick question in regards to Harrison Rec on V Street, 1300 block of V.
Yes.
The rec center has been closed for a very long time. Do you have any information on why it's been closed? And if not, where I can find that information?
I don't have any information at my fingertips, but if you send me an email after the meeting, I'll follow up and get an answer for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll try to remember to note that and follow up with you if I don't hear from you.
Commissioner York.
So I think just kind of similarly along the lines of some of the past few questions, I think it would be helpful to also just have a like a comprehensive map of all the DPR operated and managed parks, or a list of the parks within 1B. I think that would help us kind of have an idea of what is DPR managed. I know that we have quite a few that are National Park Service managed, the significant one being Meridian Hill Park and Malcolm X Park. So yeah, I think that would be something that's helpful. I appreciate you coming out and giving this presentation though.
Yeah, I'm happy to share a list of ones, and I'll try to remember to send a list of parks in Ward 1, so you have a sense of what's in our inventory across the board. I could also try my hand at ArcGISing and see if I can do a map, create a map with 1B boundaries as well. But I definitely have a spreadsheet that I can share that has the parks that we know in our inventory in Ward 1, if that'd be helpful.
That'd be very helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Bana.
Just really quickly, can you explain what is the role like within certain parks? Like, does DGS do certain things versus DPR? Like in particular, Commissioner Ewart mentioned 14th and Girard. I know DGS has been involved when we have worked with the council member's office to get some stuff fixed in there. So what certain things are managed by DGS versus DPR?
So once the project is, DGS does all of our capital construction for us. We work in tandem whenever we do a renovation or a new park. DGS is also responsible for cleanup of the park and maintenance, and we work hand in hand with them. So if there's an issue with the park, you can send me an email, take a picture and send me an email, and I can forward it to I can submit the ticket request myself, or I can forward the information to we have a staff person on staff whose sole responsibility is to interact with DGS to make sure that things get picked up and repaired. So we do the programming, yeah, but DGS does all of the capital, does most of the maintenance of the parks.
Great.
And we collaborate very closely with them sometimes. Yes, for the most part.
DGS basically is the shared services across all the agencies. Commissioner Hanrahan.
I'll be very quick because I see there's at least one question in the chat, not the Q&A, but Chris, thanks so much for joining us. It was really interesting. A question, so there's a park in my single member district that's the park at LaJoy. There's no rec center, so it's not really staffed by DPR in a way that some other parks are. I know that's pretty common. I'm very familiar with the permitting process and appreciate you summarizing that. Are there resources that DPR can assist with if we wanted to do events like a movie night or like something around trunk or treat? We've talked about aside from just getting a permit and being allowed to be there, is there an opportunity to get support from DPR staff around anything like setup or just understanding how to run some events that I know happen across the portfolio?
So to answer your question, we have an events team and our permit team, you can ask the questions and they can make arrangements for delivery of a variety of support, a variety of equipment. We're just, whether it's plugging into electricity. If you're interested in movie nights, please email me afterwards and I will pass that information on. We have roving leaders, and in the summer, we do a series of movie nights across the city. So we might be able to, and I think we actually do it in LaDroit Park, and we can help with that. So if you're interested, just reach out to our permits team and say, hey, this is what we're interested in doing, and see what they say.
Thank you.
Because we have a lot of stuff. I mean, we have stagecraft. We can, if you want a Playmobil to show up, I mean, just reach out to us and reach out to me and we can see what we can do.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Commissioner Harris, are there any community questions?
Yes, we have one in the chat from, oh, okay. Thank you, Jocelyn, for putting it in the Q&A. How is the no dog policy in parks enforced? She mentioned that she called 311 about unleashed dogs and dogs in the park at Irving and Georgia Avenue. So she's wondering what number should she call?
Well, she can call 311. The other thing she can do is call our main customer care line at 202. Hold on for just a second. I have it committed to memory, but I don't want to give something wrong. It's 202-673-7647, and that's during the day if she wants to report it. And in terms of enforcement, we do have park rangers who occasionally are out in the parks. We also have park ambassadors who are there, who are deployed to some parks to gently remind people to, leash their dogs. And there might be a pilot program at one point to see if we can do ticketing. But right now it's we try to do some proactive education and remind people gently to not let their dogs run unleashed in the parks.
Along the same lines, is DPR staff kind of taking a look at the amount of off-leash dogs and saying that, all right, maybe we need to kind of develop more off-leash dog parks? I know there are a lot of dogs in the city, and the number of off-leash places in our ANC is minimal, if any. I can't think of one. So I don't know. It seems like it could be a data point as well.
I know that our park ambassadors, if they're there, they do collect data. If you do call our customer care operation and say, hey, we see a bunch of unleashed dogs, we will know that it's happening. In terms of creating a dog park, there is a process that's involved. You have to basically start a nonprofit to agree to help maintain the park. And there are a lot of space requirements, and we're looking at the dog park issue. But if you're interested in starting a dog park somewhere, please reach out to me and I can certainly connect you with our team to try to see if we can do that. We just, by the way, I know that it's not your aim. It might be close to, actually no, 11th and Rhode Island is nowhere near the boundary of 1B. That would be a bit of a haul to take your dog down to Logan. But we just did open up the Shaw Dog Park on Saturday to great joy and adulation. So we've brought that back online. If you want to have your dog run loose. And I know that Walter Pierce Park also has a dog park over at, again, but that's not completely in your ANC. It might be a little bit more adjacent to where you are.
Yeah, Walter Pierce, the one on New Hampshire Avenue, the one you mentioned on Rhode Island Avenue. Those are the ones that come to mind off the top of my head.
Yeah.
We
But-
did have some of my constituents did reach out about the Shaw Dog Park, so I think people are very happy with that. I think it's a little bit farther from 1B12, but it's certainly closer. And I think some people were confused about Banneker and the new school that opened there. So that was some confusion, but I think overall people are very excited to see that it's opened back up. It's not too far. So if there are community members who are interested in it, it's definitely a great dog park.
Yeah, no, I can certainly appreciate that people would like to have a space to let their dogs run free. And as someone who lives in Logan, I'm not a dog owner myself, but we certainly do have dog owners in the building who are always looking for good places to let their dogs roam free. So, you know,
And
it's an
it's
interesting dog
also
park.
it's also non-dog owners who appreciate it. I mean, I'm in 1B07, which is where the Columbia Heights Rec Center is, and a block north from Malcolm X Park, and I've had dogs run across my blanket when I'm having a picnic in the park, and that's no fun either.
No.
So having a designated place is I think beneficial for everyone.
Noted.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris, thank you for joining us this evening. It's been I think, a good conversation and a great presentation, and we're very supportive of DPR and the programs, and look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Yes, I look forward to coming back and visiting you guys. And again, feel free to reach out. Please make my email box light up like a Christmas tree. It's why I'm here, and I enjoy helping. And I'll try to get back to you guys about the Harrison, an update on Harrison, at least. And at the end, thanks and thank you all for your service you're doing on behalf of the city. Have a great evening.
Thank you, you too. Commissioners, I'll now call the formal session to order. Madam Secretary, if you'll call the roll.
Yes. Commissioner Handerhan,
Present.
Commissioner Orlowski,
Present.
Commissioner Umar,
Present.
Commissioner Thomas,
Present.
Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Floyd,
Present.
Commissioner Ewert,
Present.
Commissioner Bana,
Present.
Commissioner Turner,
Present.
Commissioner Farnan, Commissioner Harris, present. We have a quorum of 9 of 11.
Thank you. Commissioners, before you have an agenda. I have 3 items to add to the agenda under the consent agenda. And one being a letter to the Zoning Commission for the upcoming hearing on Bruce Monroe Park. We have formally deferred to ANC 1A, which is the Commission of Jurisdiction, and said that we support and they will represent our interests as well. They did ask for a letter to be formally filed stating that, and that motion was already approved in a prior commission. So this will just be stating a prior action and submitting it to zoning. Delegation of authority, updating for new commissioners, and approval of Rock and Roll Marathon, which is an annual event except for last year. And it does touch some in 1B, but it's mostly around 1D. So we do have some abutting jurisdiction there. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstention. Is there a motion to approve the full agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Reports and action items. Commissioner Sanchez isn't here this evening. Commissioner Floyd, any update on the Terrell?
No report.
Thank you. Public safety and community engagement.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be giving the presentation on behalf of Commissioner Farnan, who is not in the district tonight, she's traveling. So Larry Handerhan, Commissioner for 1B01. Commissioner Farnan wanted to thank everyone who attended the September Public Safety and Community Engagement Meeting, which was held at Banneker Rec. There was a really good turnout, and even though Community Solutions wasn't able to join themselves, the group was able to hear a little bit more about the violence prevention work that they do in our community. I can certainly speak to the relationships they've been building in LaJoy Park. Most of the conversation, and for those of you who are there, you'll probably remember, focused on ATV mitigation. Specifically, MPD is working with gas stations to restrict sales to ATV owners and share footage when it's available. There's also a new tactic to find where ATV drivers are entering and exiting locations of the district. But really, MPD feels that rather than chasing ATVs, which we talked about in this space before, they want to wait until the vehicles run out of gas and they can be seized. I know this is a really big issue for the community, and glad we're able to discuss it at one of our committee meetings. A live stream of the meeting is available on Commissioner Farnan's Instagram page at Farnan4DC. Also just want to quickly mention some events on behalf of the committee. The Hope for Hoops tournament raised money, thousands of dollars for cervical cancer research. The founders wanted to send a thanks to ANC 1B. We advertised the event and engaged as good neighbors. There was also Next Fest in Malcolm X Park, Art All Night, which is always a highlight for us. And the LaJoy Park Civic Association had our first block party in 2 years, as well as the W Street Block Party, which was the first in 5 years. Maybe most importantly, in the events category, we had Open Streets last Saturday, and Commissioner Farnan wanted to thank Commissioner Ewart and Harris for their leadership to make sure 1B was represented there. I hope folks got to attend. It was really quite something to see, so glad that I was back. The next meeting is November 18th, and you can check our website out for information on how to register. That's all I have.
Commissioner Handerhan, we do have Lieutenant Markowitz on. Chair Turner, do we have some time to hear from MPD?
Yes.
Great, thanks, Lieutenant.
Good evening, everybody. So we have a little bit of news and some significant events. Well, one significant event to talk about. Yesterday in LaJoy, there was a series of gunshots, and our officers who were actually in the block and an off-duty officer happened to be sitting in his car right where the little shootout happened, was able to identify 2 people with a gun, and we arrested 2 individuals for possession of a handgun. Columbia Heights, which I know isn't 1B, but Columbia Heights is getting a fall crime initiative, which is going to be bringing additional resources to the 3rd District. So I think that's going to have kind of a ripple effect and help everyone in the surrounding area out. Other than that, our stats are pretty on par for the preceding months. So I'm here for any concerns that anybody might have.
Questions for the lieutenant? Commissioner Harris.
Yes, I have several. So first, I'm wondering, do you have an update on the shootings at the 1300 block of U Street and then the 1200 block that happened, I believe, early September?
No, I believe they're still being investigated. you said 12 and 1300 block of U.
Yes, that happened on the same night. So one happened around, I believe, 1 a.m. and then the next one happened at around 3 a.m.
I'll look into it if there's anything that I can share, but to the last that I saw, they're still being investigated.
Okay. And then there was a shooting earlier this summer. We actually had a meeting with neighbors on Wallach Place yesterday with the council member, myself, and Lieutenant Fleming. But they were curious on an update on the shooting that did happen. I believe it was, I'm forgetting the date, but it was earlier this summer. And they caught video of it. I'm wondering if you have any updates on that.
I do not. That's actually a different sector. I can reach out to Lieutenant Dai, who is very up on the stats for Wallach. But I can either he will reach out to you or I will.
Okay.
I'll get in touch with him.
And then, yeah, there is another update that was requested last Sunday, and I can reach out to Lieutenant D on this as well. But a neighbor found a loaded gun outside in the day when they do their weekly cleanup, and they were wondering if there were any updates on that. But I can reach out to Lieutenant D on that.
Yeah, I don't know offhand. Do you remember the address so I can look it up because I'm curious about that one too.
I would have to look on a map, so I could get it for you in a few minutes. I don't want to take up more time, unless there is someone on the call. For the first shooting that I talked about, that was on July 24th. And again, I can follow up with Lieutenant Dai on that. But then the loaded gun that was on Sunday morning. It was on Wallach Place. I'm not sure the exact location.
I'll be able to find it by the CAD calls, the type of call that would have come in. So that's the third.
Okay. And then just curious, my last question, what is kind of the process or protocol for, I know that neighbors can attend the commission meetings and we frequently ask for updates and you share them, but some of them don't want to wait a month for the next commission meeting and they have your information. But is there any other resource that they can get these updates on what is happening with investigations or if cases are closed?
Yeah, the Google Groups is one way. Anytime they have like a daily arrest report. And I believe a daily crime report. So that's one way. You can reach out to any of us at the 3rd District, any of the management officials, myself, or anyone, and we'd be happy to look into them and see, because obviously a month is a long time. I am someone who generally likes information quickly myself. So they can reach directly out to me, Lieutenant Dai, Captain Small, somebody, and we can get the information pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, Commissioner Thomas, then Bana and Ort. Commissioner Thomas.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant.
Hey.
I have a question. Someone sent me a videotape of, I think it was like 2 or 3 suspects that was in the back of the alley of W Street. This was about a week ago, and I think it had something to do with one of the shootings on U.
Okay.
And it was actually, after looking at it closely, it was right outside my window. And it was ironic because usually Sable and I are keeping up with everything that's going on U and V in terms of crime, but this one happened right at my window. So could you tell me what that was about? Or are you familiar with it?
Without seeing the video, I don't have enough context to give you any details about it. Can you forward me the video? Do you have the ability to share it via email?
Okay, I think they were saying they were running from the scene back here in the back of the alley. And I think it had to do with the shooting that taken place on U Street one weekend. So I'll forward it to you so you could give me a
Because I
little
would
bit more information.
show people running from the scene. We also upload it to our evidence system, and notify any detectives that are investigating it. Because we don't always get 100% of the video, so I just want to make sure we upload it.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Commissioner Henderhan.
Thanks so much, Lieutenant. I had one follow-up question on the LaDroit incident. You had mentioned there was, so thank you. I know that, officers being nearby doesn't prevent an incident, but I do think, and I wish that was the case, but it does definitely help respond. So thank you for clarifying that's how those individuals were arrested. Can I clarify, was that 2 days ago or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday. It was 200 block of W.
Okay.
Pretty sure I'm at the end of a 10-day work week. So I'm pretty sure it was yesterday though.
Okay. There were more shots last night at around 11 p.m. And I don't think an arrest was made in that case. So just wanted to flag for anyone who might be listening that my understanding is we're still looking for video from that incident. And it's definitely a concerning series compared to what we've experienced recently. Happily, no one's been hurt. So, that's the most important thing. But just wanted to thank you for your diligence because a few bullets did go through residential buildings, including a child's bedroom. And so we're lucky, very, very lucky it wasn't worse.
Yeah, absolutely. We were extremely lucky yesterday's didn't have a more tragic outcome as well. We've talked about how even the presence of police officers doesn't prevent things from happening. So indications are that the suspects most likely drove past the police officers at the one side of the block to engage the people they were shooting at the other side of the block. So this is something that I think I've seen more and more we saw it from the 14th Street shooting where in broad daylight, people are in a very crowded area, people are engaging in gunfire. People are emboldened, it seems, over years past.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bana.
Yeah, just really quickly, I was hoping to get an update on the shooting that happened in the 1300 block of Fairmont on September 9th. It was non-life-threatening injuries, but just curious if there's an update. You could send me an email, and I'd also love to get more details on the Fall Columbia Heights crime initiative that you were talking about. Just get more details, be able to share that with folks in my district.
Sure. It launches I believe the 17th, if I'm correct. So we're still getting all the little details and the personnel and stuff lined up. But I can reach out to you about the gunshots. It's the short story of that is it's still open. And I think we have I'll email you.
Sounds good. Yeah, as you solidify those details of the initiative, it'd be great to hear more. Thanks.
Definitely.
Commissioner Max Hewitt.
Could you elaborate on the crime statistics? You mentioned that they're kind of in line with previous months. Does that mean that generally on a kind of year to year, violent crime is down while vehicular stolen vehicles are up? Could you just give us a little bit more context on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Stolen vehicles are up. This has been the thing that has kind of taken us. It started it in COVID with all the delivery drivers, and it has remained. So 19 over the last month, 19 vehicles were stolen. 15 of the 19 were vehicles left running or with the keys in them. And 7 of those were like delivery drivers. So the property crimes for stolen vehicles and theft from autos, people breaking into cars and stealing stuff, is still the biggest driver. There is violent crime, but I don't want to downplay it, but like in heavy club areas, there's a certain amount of alcohol related incidents that we kind of come to expect. And that has remained fairly steady with the clubs being in full swing. We have a whole bunch of clubs with reimbursable details, but because we have so much other mandatory overtime, sometimes we struggle to staff those club zones. But it's back to the property crime. It's the stolen autos is the thing that's absolutely pushing our numbers up.
Commissioner Harris, are there any community questions?
We do. We have someone in the audience, Dr. Holness. I am going to allow you to take yourself off of mute.
Well, I'm sorry.
Can you-
Can we real quickly? I wanted to know where to send this videotape to the lieutenant. I just found it was on September the 19th.
I will type
Where am I
it.
sending it?
I will add my email into the chat.
Okay.
There it is.
Dr. Ego?
Dr. Holness, you should be able to take yourself off of mute. Okay. Maybe that was an accidental hand raise. Give it one more second. But if you do have a question, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A if you do not want to speak.
And please use my email address. I'm happy to answer questions that I can or forward them to Lieutenant Dai or Captain Small if it's his area of expertise, but happy to help out however I can.
Thank you, Lieutenant. ZPD, Mr. Nelson.
Okay, good evening, everyone. There are 2 items tonight that the commission needs to vote on that the committee reviewed last month. Excuse me. First one is a property at 815, 817 S Street in an RF1 zone. It's located in 1B02, which is Dan Orlasky's SMD, and this is a BZA request. Applicant is requesting to be able to construct 3 new attached 2-story townhomes to an existing mixed-use building in the RF1 zone. And they are requesting special exception to convert the existing residential building to 3 units, an area variance from the lot occupancy restrictions, which applies to the 2nd floor occupancy of the existing structure. And out of an abundance of caution, the applicant is also seeking relief from the 10-foot rule, as there has not yet been a determination from the zoning administrator if S Street or 9th Street is the frontage. So the committee has reviewed this case. Actually, it came to us for 3 months straight to get some resolutions to issues that occurred. And the committee is recommending that the ANC support the special exception for converting it to a 3-unit, the area variance from the lot occupancy, and the relief from the 10-foot rule to construct the 2-story, 3 new townhomes in the existing building.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Orlowski, you want to speak to this?
I don't have much else to add. I think the only issue that really came up was about the potential for some light pollution and one of the neighbors, but that issue was worked out between the project sponsor and the resident. So at this point, I have no objection, and I support the recommendation of the committee.
Okay, if we can see if there's any community comment on this project. Commissioner Harris?
I do not see anything, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A in the chat, or feel free to raise your hand if you would like to come off of mute.
Okay. Commissioner Orlowski.
Okay, so also wanted to mention real quick that this is a rather rare development that we see these days. It's actually multi-bedroom units. A lot of time these days you see studios and 1-bedrooms. This is one that has 2 and 3-bedroom units, and that's fairly rare. So it's something that I think is sorely needed. So with that being said, I will move that the ANC 1B vote to accept the recommendation of the CPD committee as it pertains to 815 and 17 S Street for the special exception to convert the existing residential building to 3 units pursuant to subtitle U, section 320.2, an area variance for lot occupancy restrictions, subtitle E, section 304.1, to expand second floor lot occupancy to the existing structure to 89.46%. And the relief from the 10-foot rule, subtitle E, section 205.4.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? It does seem to be a very a bit of messing. I do think that their family size units certainly is something that we need and probably worth the special consideration. So I would be supportive of that. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Nelson?
Okay, and the second case that needs to be voted on is a project located at 536 Harvard Street Northwest in an RF1 zone located in 1B10, which is currently vacant. And it is a BZA case. They are requesting special exceptions from the penthouse setback requirements, the lot occupancy requirements, and the rear yard requirements to construct a 3rd floor and rooftop deck addition to an existing 2-story principal dwelling. The committee is recommending that the ANC support the special exceptions, the lot occupancy, the penthouse setback, and the rear yard requirements be able to construct a 3rd floor roof deck addition to the existing 2-story principal dwelling.
Commissioner Harris, are there any comments on this project?
I am not seeing anything, but if anyone has any comments, again, add it in the Q&A chat, or please feel free to raise your hand.
Okay. Since 1B10 is vacant, Commissioner Harris is Commissioner Chair of CPD. Would you like to make the motion?
Sure. I move that the full ANC support the special exceptions of the penthouse setback, lot occupancy, and rear yard requirements to construct a third floor and new rooftop deck addition to an existing attached two-story principal dwelling unit in the RF1 zone.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Nelson.
Okay, so that concludes our request for tonight, and the next committee meeting will be held on Monday, October 18th at 6:30.
Thank you. Economic Development, Commissioner Handrahan.
Everyone, no update this month. The committee did not meet, as folks might have heard in past meetings. Economic Development is an ad hoc committee of the ANC, and it convenes around the disposition of publicly owned property. That said, we have a really engaged and active committee that worked on the Reef Center, and we're looking to pull that group together to have some conversations about governance. So I know there's at least one committee member on the line. Looking forward to talking to the folks there. Of course, those conversations will be public, and we'll post them on the 1B website so folks can listen in. Thanks so much. Oh, also, I'm sorry if there's anyone from any of the Clean Streets, or I didn't see anyone earlier, but just want to make sure our neighborhood partners, we didn't get briefings from them up front, but they're trusted partners in this space telling us what's going on. Okay, now I'm officially done.
I'm not seeing anyone in the audience.
Just an update on one of our prior projects. Grimke will be having a ribbon cutting for the move of Tortigalis to the Grimke redeveloped site on the 14th. Commissioner Wardlasky and I have been invited to speak. It should be a nice event. It's certainly a project that has taken a long time to get to this point. Took many, many years to get it redeveloped, and it does bring 100 jobs, architectural and support jobs, to the U Street corridor. So it helps improve our daytime activity and economy. So very excited about that. Once I get details, I'll share it, and commissioners are encouraged to attend. Transportation.
Good evening, everyone. This past Transportation Committee, we had one case for review and an update from Howard University. The case for review was a renewal and, or sorry, not a renewal, sidewalk cafe permit for Mi Vida at 1901 14th Street Northwest. The proposal was a slight alteration of the current layout. They were not increasing the square footage of their sidewalk cafe. However, they were rearranging the seating. The new arrangement allowed for 3 additional seats up to 68, and also included space for wheelchair accessible seating. The Transportation Committee reviewed the proposal and had no issues.
Commissioner Harris, you want to comment on this and then see if there's a community comment?
Sure. So this is not a renewal. This is a new establishment that is opening in the former Matchbox space. Matchbox did have a sidewalk cafe, but glad to hear that they are configuring it for kind of accessibility. So I think this is going to be good, and it'll be an interesting spot that replaces Matchbox. If there are any community comments, again, add them to the chat, Q&A, or please feel free to raise your hand. I'm not seeing anything new pop up. So with that, since this is in my SMD, I move that the full ANC support the Sidewalk Cafe permit for Benvita at 1901 14th Street.
Sir, second.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Are you voting against it? Commissioner Luther? I believe that was yay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Also the meeting was an update from Howard University. They're beginning the early stages of the kind of update as part of the new campus master plan. One of the recommendations for that is to connect Georgia Avenue to 9th Street by extending W Street through existing parts of campus. At the last Transportation Committee meeting, they provided kind of the first update to us about the new streetscape. There will be subsequent updates, both with the Transportation Committee and the ZPD Committee. So if folks are interested in that, please keep your eyes open. We'll be sure to let folks know. Before we move on to the next section, I do want to say just one quick thing. For your folks who weren't aware, yesterday was Walk to School Day, which is a longstanding tradition in BC public schools that I even participated in when I was at Watkins Elementary School. And in Ward 7, 2 young girls and their father were struck by a Jeep while they were in the crosswalk on their way to school. I wish this was a unique event in the city, but unfortunately, even in the past few months, there have been several other young children who have been hit by cars while they're in the crosswalk, including the death of a 5-year-old who was on her bike in Brookland in Ward 5. At our next Transportation Committee meeting, we're going to be reviewing a notice of intent for a speed camera along Bryant Street Northwest. DDOT has the data that shows that cars often speed on this street, and so this is part of their recommendation. And while this will undoubtedly slow some cars down, it won't slow everyone down, and the street will remain unsafe. I'm kind of saying this as a call to action for folks who are in the audience, for my fellow commissioners to reach out to our Councilwoman Doe, reach out to our at-large council members, Bond, Silverman, and White, and to Chairman Mendelson to put pressure on DDOT to be more proactive, to install physical infrastructure to force cars to slow down. This is about creating a safe environment for our most vulnerable neighbors, the young, our seniors, and our neighbors who are mobility impaired. Since I've gotten on this committee, or since I became the chair of the Transportation Committee, I've been pretty vocal about you can't really enforce yourself into safety when it comes to traffic, and when it comes to traffic safety. You have to design it, and I just don't think that DDOT is taking the necessary steps to do that. If this is something that you are interested in, please come out to our Transportation Committee meetings. We are having these types of conversations, and we want to make not only an ANC but a city that's safe for everyone. With that, I hand it over to Commissioner Eric Mena for Alcohol Beverage Brand Regulation.
But before we do that, is Bryant a connector between LaDroit Park and George Avenue?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone requested a traffic calming study?
Not that I'm aware of. However, Commissioner Delaney, before he left, may have. I can check with our DDOT liaison, and hopefully we'll get an update prior to the next committee meeting.
Bryant would be in 1B01.
I think it was 1B10.
Yeah, it's
1B10.
Sheriff Farman's district.
Okay.
Just two comments to follow up on what Max just said as it relates to the Howard stuff. Just clarification. Excuse me, these streets that they're talking about putting in are not part of the campus plan. They've been extracted from the campus plan. It's part of the Duke plan that we put in place back in 2005 or so to connect the two sides of Georgia Avenue. The other thing too that we want to keep in mind, Max, that we can harp on Howard is that's one of the proposed streets that they're talking about using for the cross traffic for the new hospital. And that's something that I'll probably push them in your direction again once that goes through. What's on the drawing board proposed now is that they're talking about making those two streets one way so that it slows the traffic down in one sense, but then it's going to be the entrance to where the ambulances come in. So we need to make sure that we connect with them once that's going through, and they're in the process right now of talking with the city about getting the funding. So right now is the right time to talk about that, and we can follow up with the next time when they come back. I'll push them back over and when it gets addressed.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. ABR. Commissioner Boehner.
Hi, everyone. We have a couple things to vote on that came out of the ABR committee meeting this past month. We had a robust 3-hour ABR meeting, and so we have a few things to vote on, and then I have a couple general updates after that. So the first establishment is Salazar, which is at 1819 14th Street. That's in 1B12, Commissioner Harris's district. It's the former El Centro space. The ABR committee recommended a protest based on all applicable grounds, including peace, order, quiet, and overconcentration. It was passed by 7 yeas, 0 nays, or abstentions. Commissioner Harris, do you want to speak on this? And I will just say that both of these protest votes were done in order to just keep the process going and keep our standing. I want to recognize that both of these establishments have attended more than one ABR committee meeting and are doing their due diligence to engage with the community. So I just wanted to note that. Commissioner Harris, did you want to speak on Salazar?
Yeah, I think to piggyback off of that, I think the word protest seems very harsh and probably seems like we're signaling that we don't, excuse me, that we don't want these establishments to open. That is not the case. It is purely to keep our standing and to formalize a settlement agreement or a voluntary or community agreement. However, you all have heard those terms, and both of these establishments have reached out to me to formalize those settlement agreements. So I foresee the next meeting, the commission meeting that we have, we will likely be voting on those. And I feel very confident in it. These are coming into, well, one is coming into a former space. So I don't think there are any concerns, and Salazar is owned by the same owners of Hawthorne. And I have heard from neighbors that that Hawthorne has, they've been good community partners. So with that, I move that the full ANC protest the new license application for Salazar based on all applicable grounds, including the effect on peace, order, and quiet, and overconcentration.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in
Discussion.
favor?
That's
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, sorry.
Commissioner Ewart.
No discussion, just an overeager
Vote.
vote.
All the,
can I just echo Sable's framing comment that the word protest feels wrong for this kind of scenario? But I think it's absolutely the right path to take. And thanks everyone for, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the technical term. I think it's not so much that it's wrong. I think it should be renamed, or depending on how we go about it. I think we have tried to operate in good faith on new establishments and not file a protest with ABRA, and they haven't come back to the table with the settlement agreement. So that is why we're kind of keeping this and trying to keep our standing. But it is something, it's just the technical term that ABRA uses, and something that we have to use.
I know, Commissioner. I was just saying it feels wrong, and I wanted to reiterate and support your.
Yeah, and I'm trying to just communicate with the community on that, so that it's not. It does feel kind of harsh. So that's all I'm saying.
May I offer an amendment to the motion? Since you are looking for a settlement agreement, say that we're protesting pending a settlement agreement, and if based on our standard template, it will stand approved.
I accept that amendment.
Okay, commissioners, that's designed so if we use the template, we're protesting for a settlement agreement, it's a standard agreement, then we just do the protest and approval all in one action. So
just to clarify though, are you saying we're also approving the settlement agreement as well too? Is that what you meant?
If it's with the standard template from Commissioner Bena's committee. All those in favor, aye?
I think that's a good idea.
Opposed? Thank you, Patrick. Abstentions? Thank you. Next item.
Okay, the next one, same situation, although this is coming into a new space. It's called District Alley at 1351 U Street Northwest, also in 1B12, Commissioner Harris's district. The ABR committee recommendation was that recommended that the full ANC protest the new license application based on all applicable grounds, including the effect on peace, order, and quiet. 5 yeas, 1 nay, 1 abstention. Commissioner Harris, do you want to speak on District Alley?
Yeah, I'm personally very excited about this establishment. So it is coming into a brand new space, but actually where it's going is that it is going into an alleyway, specifically an alleyway that I live close to that has been affected by lots of illegal dumping and 2 literal dumpster fires. So I think with some more foot traffic to this space and the way that they have it laid out, it's actually going behind, if you all are familiar with where U Street Wine and Beer is, it's going behind there. So very excited for them to open. They have, like Commissioner Bena said, they have attended multiple ABR committee meetings. I've talked with them multiple times. I've seen the space. They are trying to also figure out ways to beautify the dumpsters in the back, or try to figure out how they can partner with other establishments to have a larger compactor. So very excited for them. Again, wish there was different terminology for a protest. But we do want to keep our standing and make sure we have a settlement agreement in place with them.
Any community comment?
I don't see any in the chat, and I do not see any comments in the Q&A, and no hands raised.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move that the full ANC protest the new license application based on all applicable grounds, including the effect on peace, order, and quiet. And I would like to add, if we are able to reach a settlement agreement prior to the protest hearing, that the ANC also approve the settlement agreement with the standard template.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Next item.
Okay, the next item is the approval of a settlement agreement with Mi Vida at 1901 14th Street, also Commissioner Harris's district. She's worked diligently to work out the settlement agreement.
Commissioner Harris.
I don't think there's anything to add other than, excited for Mavita to come to the former Matchbox space and their sidewalk cafe. It was a fairly standard settlement agreement. And so happy to have that in place.
Okay, so you have a signed agreement.
I do.
Do we need to approve it, or was it prior approved?
We need to
We
approve
did.
it.
We
Okay.
need to approve it.
Is there a motion?
I move that the full ANC approve the settlement agreement with Mavita at 1901 14th Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Great. So my next announcement was I just wanted to call the community's attention to the ABR committee webpage. So on anc1b.org, there's an ABR committee webpage. We have been building this webpage out over the past several months. There was not a lot of information on it when I started in January. And so there's a lot of information on there about how the alcoholic beverage permitting process works. There is a link to a spreadsheet so you can see what establishments and what licenses are before this ANC and when they will appear before the ANC ABR committee. So if you're interested and it won't catch you by surprise, you can always catch it there. Additionally, we have instituted a community feedback form. So for folks that aren't aware, generally the existing establishments, their licenses come up at the same time every couple of years. So it's not renewal season yet, but it will be in shortly, and so it'll come up before we know it. So there's a Google form. You can go in there and you can put your feedback on establishments. You could do a compliment and say this is a great establishment, or you could say you're having issues with one. That way we have that data when it comes time for renewal season. So just wanted to flag that website for people because we've done a lot of work to try and demystify the process and have a lot of resources there for the community, for anyone that is interested in following the new licenses and renewals and things like that in the community. And thank you, Sable, for putting that in the chat. The last thing that I want to note is our next meeting is on October 20th at 7 p.m. We are going to be having a special guest, meaning it will be Zoning Administrator Matt LeGrant. He'll be joining our October 20th ABR committee meeting. And you might say, wow, why is the zoning administrator on the alcoholic beverage committee meeting? Well, if you've been an avid attendee of the ABR committee over the past several months, you'll know that we have delved a lot into zoning issues. There are a lot of folks in the community, particularly on U Street, that are concerned about overconcentration of bar and restaurant establishments in the area. There are some zoning regulations that are meant to mitigate that, and so we are going to have Mr. LeGrant on the meeting to answer questions, help clarify those regulations. So if you are one of those folks that has emailed me or reached out to the committee with that as a concern, the zoning administrator will be on the October 20th meeting to answer all of your questions about the arts overlay eating and drinking establishment regulations. So see you on October 20th at 7 p.m.
Promises to be a heated discussion.
I would like to take the opportunity to personally thank Mr. Bena in all the work that he has done to get this to happen. We have spent, as he said, hours talking about this, sending out emails, putting emails together. And for him to be able to finally push this over the edge, to get him to come and talk to us face to face is a huge win for him. So kudos.
Thank you, Patrick. I couldn't do the zoning without you. We'll be leaning on you in that meeting to get into the weeds. So thank you.
And good work on the website. That is excellent, and it'll be very important when we start working on our end of year report of what we've accomplished as an ANC. Administrative items, vacancy 1B10 continues to be vacant. It'll be re-advertised in the DC Register. And we will see if we get people interested in that position. Meeting formats, we've discussed whether to go back in person, be virtual, the ANC versus the committees. The thought now that we're considering as the primary option is that we will have a one meeting per quarter. The first month of each quarter will be in person. The other two will be virtual. And the committees will follow the same guidelines as the ANC. This will also give us an opportunity to maybe move around the community more, around the 1B footprint. The council, of course, will be weighing in and telling us what we can do. I believe Max and Commissioner Ewart and Harris are working on a survey or a pulse point survey to get some input from the community on this as well. And we will vote on it probably at the next meeting.
That's correct. We got a couple survey responses at Open Streets. And then I plan on kind of transferring the physical survey over into a Google form, whatever the survey thing that Google has. And it'll be advertised in our newsletter and free for folks to circulate to their constituents as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Harris, our intern and admin.
We're still hiring marketing and neighborhood engagement interns. Both of those job descriptions are on the site. We made one minor change to make sure it was the job descriptions were inclusive. So for the marketing intern, I think we put that we were looking for a college student, but we realized that might exclude some people who might be taking a gap year or who might not be in college. So we are open to accepting people of all ages who are in or out of school. So that job description, both of those are on the site, and we are still looking for an admin. That job description is also on the site as well.
Thank you. Announcements, anyone from the Office of the Mayor? Office of Council Member Nadeau, Mr. Montel.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Oscar Montiel, and I am the Constituent Services Director for the Office of Ward 1 Councilmember Bryant Nadeau. Council is back from recess, so I'll share a few highlights In response to pleas from parents citywide, the council adopted legislation that does the following. Requires that DCPS or any public charter school, local education agency, offer distance learning to students with certain high-risk medical conditions whose physician recommends that they receive distance learning, and students who are ineligible for a COVID-19 vaccine and live with an individual with a high-risk medical condition. It adds 350 virtual learning slots for DCPS students, expands the definition of excused absences to include certain absences related to COVID-19 infections for school year 2021 through 2022. Requires classroom level reporting of COVID-19 cases at each local education agency and DCPS facility issues. Expands school testing from 10% to 20%, and more explicitly require that parents be notified of any COVID case in classrooms. Although council is limited in the action we can take through emergency legislation, with this legislation, we are taking important steps to keep students healthy and safe. Councilmember Nadeau will continue pushing and advocating for more accountability from our education agencies. Councilmember Nadeau voted in favor of an amendment authored by Councilmember Janice Lewis George to extend DC's foreclosure moratorium to February 4th, 2022. This should provide adequate time for the district to distribute the $50 million in federal funding to aid in foreclosure prevention. By extending the expiration date to February, we are also ensuring that families will not lose their homes over the holidays. In 2020, we received a letter from ANC 1B requesting the council to ceremonially designate the 2700 block of Sherman Avenue after a local civil rights icon, Alice Washington. Councilmember Nadeau introduced the legislation earlier this year, and we've just been notified that a hearing date is set. The Committee of the Whole public hearing on Bill 24-214, the Alice Washington Way Designation Act of 2021, is scheduled for Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021 at 10:30 a.m. Those who wish to testify should register by 5 p.m. on Monday, November 1st, 2021. You could register at www.chairmanmendelson.com/testify, and I'll drop the link in the chat in a minute. Thank you to ANC 1B for your work to honor the Ward 1 champion in honor of Ms. Washington and her tireless advocacy work. And in accordance with her family's wishes, we are proud to support the dedication of the alley behind her home of 50 years as Alice Washington Way.
Oscar, do you need the us to submit anything, or will you just use the welcome party provided?
Yeah, we have the information.
You also have something from Pleasant Plains Civic Association in support.
I can get that from them. But if you do have it, you can forward it.
Okay. I know that there are a number of Ms. Washington's family and friends who have signed up to testify.
Okay.
So it's good that the chairman has finally moved on this.
Okay.
Hearing.
And I'll be sure to share that information with her family as well.
You should reach out to Darren Jones, who's the president.
Okay.
I'm actually the vice president, but he's the one that would be able to get you that information. And I'm sure he's more than willing to do that.
We have a letter already.
You just need to reach out to him and let him know you want it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
And let me also,
we have a letter already.
Okay. While I have the floor, Oscar, do you know whether or not, I've heard, but I've not heard totally, whether or not the mayor has vetoed that bill for the schools yet?
No, I'm not clear on that.
My understanding is that she is going to veto it and that the council will have to override her.
I could provide you more information on that.
I'm just curious. I mean, I heard that she was totally against it and she was going to veto it, but I was just wondering whether she's actually done it or not.
We'll get you more information on that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Oscar.
All right. In 2017, council member introduced the Street Harassment Prevention Amendment Act. The legislation was groundbreaking by creating the first legal definition of street harassment in the United States and by uniquely focusing on prevention through education rather than criminalization. Last week, our office hosted the first Stand Up to Street Harassment Bystander Intervention training. And just to speak a little bit more on the Fall Crime Initiative, last Friday, Mayor Bowser announced 5 areas that would be included in the Fall Crime Prevention Initiative. Columbia Heights, which is in 3rd District, was selected as one of the focus areas. The Fall Crime Prevention Initiative runs from October 1st to December 18. According to Police Chief Robert Conti, areas selected for previous initiatives have seen reduced violent crime from nearly 15% to more than 35%. Leading the effort in Columbia Heights will be Captain Francis Jenkins. Our office works closely with Captain Jenkins and will be in regular communication with him throughout the initiative to ensure that MPD is focused on employing strategies that will keep all Ward 1 residents safe. Those were my updates. And I'll drop that link in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, and enjoy your time in Venice.
I do, Chair Turner, I have one question if we have time.
Sure.
And I can ask this again. I think Councilmember Nadeau will be joining us for our November commission meeting. I think that's still getting set, so didn't mean to let the cat out of the bag on that. But I noticed I believe it was the newsletter a couple weeks ago that Councilmember Nadeau secured $50,000 for mental health services for the Columbia Heights Civic Plaza, but that was being deployed through District Bridges. Do they have the capacity to provide those services?
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I can get back to you about it.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a quick question as well. You mentioned the Fall Crime Initiative, and then I know that there's been the larger Building Blocks DC pilot, and I had inquired, it's months ago at this point, of whether we have a list if like some blocks in Ward 1 and Columbia Heights, specifically my area, Lower Columbia Heights, are included in that building blocks for the future. I know it's still kind of in a pilot phase, but if you could maybe circle back if we know yet if those blocks will be included.
I'll definitely circle back with you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners, announcements? Community announcements.
We do have one community announcement from Mike McLaughlin. If you could raise your hand. Oh, wait, I see you. So I'm going to take you off of mute and, oh, thank you. And you should be able to speak.
Awesome, thanks. Hi, everybody. Mike McLaughlin. I'm on the volunteer board of Wangari Gardens, which is actually in 1A, but pretty close by. So we thought it would be worth swinging by to just let you all know that we have a community build day and fall festival that's coming up on October 23rd. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So the morning time from 10 to 1 will be mostly work day. So digging holes, cleaning up the garden in general. And then the afternoon from 1 to 4, there'll be food and music and local vendors, and just kind of a great thing to bring your family to. For a little additional context, the reason that the build day is going on is because we just finalized our redevelopment master plan for Wangari Gardens. So we're starting to action parts of that plan. So if you just Google Friends of Wangari Gardens, you'll be able to see the master plan there. It's an all volunteer labor force as well. So we're not tackling the whole plan at once. We're doing the things that are numbered 1, 2, and 3 on there. So it's a tree sign, a circle of peace, which is really a seating area, and then a sacred space, which is another seating area. So Come join us. It'll be fun. It'll be a great way to meet your neighbors, and volunteer if you want. Bring a shovel, bring gloves, and we'll be there October 23rd from 10 to 4.
Okay, thank you.
Located?
Wangari Gardens it's bordered by Kenyon on the north, Irving on the south, and then Park Place on the west.
It's the community garden right by the hospital center.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it.
Will the beekeeper be there?
Also,
I don't know. I am not sure. His bees will be there for sure. I don't know if he'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Any other community comments, questions, announcements?
I had an announcement. I was too slow before, but Max reminded me earlier when he was speaking about traffic calming for folks that are familiar with 1300 block of Fairmont and 1300 block of Girard. Neighbors have complained about speeding on those blocks for several years. There were traffic safety assessments that were in limbo for a long time, waiting to hear back at least a year ago. And I think now finally DDOT is close to, they're approved and all that. And I just had to concur. And so I just want folks to know that 1300 blocks of Girard and Fairmont traffic calming is coming. At least some minimal speed bumps and such. So.
Thank you. Okay, I think our business is concluded for the month. Thank you, everyone, and see you next month. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.